Let's just start off with some real talk. I am not talented. You are not talented. And your kids definitely aren't talented. What did you just say?
Just wait
1 minute, Buster.
than anyone
is the best on the basketball team. You or your kids could be great at a lot of things, and that's great. But I wouldn't attribute that to talent. Let's take a look at what the actual definition of talent is and how most people think about it. So Google shows the definition of talent as natural aptitude or skill. And it's that skill piece that I want to focus on here. Nobody's talented, because for the most part, talent isn't really real. Talent is about as real as the mythical creature known as the jackalope or this channel's subscribers. And this is actually a really good thing. Hear me out. Now, I'm oversimplifying a bit to say that talent is totally fake. There are definitely aspects of it that are sort of true. But for the most part, I think talent isn't really a useful concept to hold on to. Most people think of talent as innate ability that we're born with, or an aptitude for a particular skill. For many people, there's this concept that we emerge into the world as a fresh baby child with some innate skill or ability to do something. A lot of people think of this in context of music ability, for instance, or sports. Child prodigies are often viewed as proof of the existence of talent. Dr. Josh Turknet has a great video on child prodigies on his Clawhammer Banjo channel, which is actually one of the best general self-development channels I've come across on YouTube. I'll put the links to Dr. Turknet's excellent book and his YouTube channel in the description down below. Dr. Turknet highlights the example of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart as a child prodigy, who was himself the son of Leopold Mozart, who got him started on music at a very young age. This is a very important distinguishing factor. The difference between Mozart and his peers was not that he was gifted with some innate musical ability, it was that he started practicing music at a much younger age than his peers. By comparison, that made him look much better in music at a much younger age than others, when in reality, if you actually look at the number of hours that were invested at that age, Mozart was putting in far more hours than even many professionals above his age. If you actually look at the hours of practice that Mozart put in, as opposed to his age, his story appears much less remarkable compared to others. Another good example of perceived innate ability that Dr. Turknet addresses on his channel is the concept of perfect pitch. Now, this concept of perfect pitch is often thought of as somebody is born with the ability to recognize any pitch, and therefore they're going to be gifted in music. Now, it's more likely that that ability is actually developed over time with a child who happens to be interested in sound and focuses on that as they're growing up. This doesn't necessarily need to be practiced or taught. In fact, a child focusing on different tones through play could actually be a very useful and effective way of learning about different sounds, and that could eventually translate into an interest in music. Now, many people would only look at that child after years of this sort of practice around tone and see that as a gifted child with perfect pitch, when in reality the child may have been practicing over years and identifying different pitches and just have a keen interest in that. Now, this raises the question, what about genetics? Now, of course, there are genetic differences between people in terms of things like height, physical responsiveness to training, and brain development. And of course, some of those differences will impact a person's ability to do certain things, but it's much less than it's often given credit for. And the same is true for my paid subscribers. Sure, they're real subscribers, but they don't really mean anything. Michael Jordan is often cited as an example of an exceptionally talented person. It's worth remembering, though, that the first time he tried out for his varsity team, he didn't make the cut. Both Jordan and his coach acknowledged that it was because he just wasn't good enough for the team at that time. He needed more time for development to improve his skills. Jordan actually acknowledged that not making the team was one of the best things that happened to his career because it gave him the motivation to work harder in the future. Now, if Jordan had innate talent, further development wouldn't have been necessary. He would have already had the skills and he would have already been the best kid for the team. But that was not the case. Even Michael Jordan needed time to improve and develop his skills. Now, I'm not saying that anybody should necessarily devote their entire lives in pursuit of a single skill. I talk about this a little bit in my last video. But what I am saying is that skill is the result of effort and time investment, not from some innate talent that's inherited. A great quote from Michael Jordan that summarizes his perspective on this is, "Everyone has talent, but ability takes hard work." Another crucial factor that's often overlooked is the importance of the quality of practice versus the quantity. It's not just the number of hours that are invested, it's also how those hours are spent. Sometimes the differences between the development in somebody with a good learning strategy versus somebody with a poorer learning strategy is mistaken for a gap in talent, rather than a difference in learning strategy. Learning deliberately with a plan is always going to yield better results than just haphazard practice. Another way to think about this is that those physical attributes will mean nothing if somebody doesn't put in the effort to actually develop skill around a particular activity. All of that stuff might be great if applied correctly, but it's the application and training that actually develops a worthwhile skill. Even someone with perfect genetics won't excel or succeed without dedicating immense effort to practice and training. I would argue that most of what is typically attributed to talent is actually a combination of interest, motivation, and hard work. Then that might raise the question, well then does interest or motivation count as talent? No. Interest can be developed or changed with time, and motivation is a skill that can be learned and trained. The important takeaway here is that the idea of talent detracts from everybody. For those who are successful, the concept of talent detracts from that success. It's as if they were born with it. It's just something that happened to them. For those who might feel unsuccessful in something, or as if they don't have talent, that might discourage them from ever trying or putting in the hard work that actually matters to success. The whole idea of talent really only has a narrowing effect on our lives that can pigeonhole us into a narrow view of what we're capable of and eliminate opportunities that we might have otherwise pursued. The entire concept of talent cheapens success, and it's something I think we should focus a lot less on. If someone is good at something, it's not because they're gifted or were born with innate ability, it's because they invested hard work and dedication into getting good at something. It's why Michael Jordan attributed his success to hard work and not just being born with some gift. We should focus on recognizing the actual hard work that went into developing that skill. Showing promise or potential is not an accident. It's the result of diligence and hard work ethic. Because instead of innate talent, you possess something far more important, which is the ability to develop or cultivate any skill you want. And that's something that's worth celebrating a lot more than just being born with a gift. It also means that every skill you have was honestly earned through persistence and hard work. Of course, there are many factors to success, but think about it this way. Ask yourself, who do you think is going to live a better, happier, and more successful life? Somebody who clings to the concept of talent and innate ability as the key to success, or somebody who views hard work and effort as the key to success?